Hello, good evening. This is UTV Live.
Tonight at 6, Donaldson appeals. Former DUP leader Jeffrey Donaldson intends to appeal his conviction for historical child sex offences.
Also ahead, the PSNI appeals for more information on the double murder suspected suicide in Ballymena as the number of women and girls who've been killed since 2020 reaches 35.
UEFA exploring disciplinary action against Derry City after last night's violent scenes in the Brandywell.
I've been coming to the Brandywell since 1985 and I have never witnessed any scene like that inside this particular football stadium. Never.
Plus the rest of the day's news, weather and sport, including an IRA hunger striker and a victims campaigner. A new documentary tells the story of a cross-community football team before the Troubles tore them apart.
Jeffrey Donaldson is going to appeal his conviction. A solicitor acting on behalf of the former DUP leader has confirmed he has lodged an appeal against his conviction last month for 18 historical sex offences, including rape.
A jury in Newry Crown Court found him guilty of the offences against 2 women, which were committed when they were children.
Well, our political editor Tracy McGee joins us now. So Tracy, what more do we know?
Well, what we do know is when Jeffrey Donaldson was convicted of those 18 historical sex offences, he had 28 days in which to lodge his appeal. Now, that deadline ran out this weekend. It had to be done by Monday. So there is a certain inevitability about this move by his legal team. So as I understand it, just a matter of hours ago, his solicitor, John McBurney, did in fact lodge the appeal. Now, he issued a very short statement. I can read it to you. It says, "I can confirm having this afternoon on behalf of Jeffrey Donaldson appeal papers with the relevant office for the Court of Appeal." So the appeal now starts to run from today.
So what about the grounds for the appeal? Do we know anything about that?
No, we don't. We can speculate, however. We do know that there could be some aspect to the summing up given by Judge Paul Ramsey at the time of the trial. That could be a focus, but also to the decision by the judge to allow the 2 trials of Jeffrey Donaldson, his criminal trial, to run alongside the trial of his wife, Eleanor Donaldson. Now, she didn't face a criminal trial, she faced what's known as a trial of the facts. Now, because of the fact that it was rejected that these 2 trials should be decoupled, it meant that the jury heard the police interview given by Eleanor Donaldson just after her arrest. And I know that the legal team at the time believed that Donaldson's case had been damaged really by the fact that had been heard, even though the judge did tell the jury to discount what they had heard. We don't know definitively what is in the appeal papers. I do know that it's a very, very lengthy document, but we will hear when it is actually heard in the appeal court.
So what's the time frame for all of this?
Well, it's all got to kind of happen together because we know that Donaldson is going to be sentenced in around September, October. The appeal has been lodged now. It could be that he will be given leave to appeal around the same time, September, October, with the hearing actually in October. Okay. Now, what I will say to you, one point that I will make to you, is that if he is successful, and we're a bit down the line here, but if he were to be successful, what you're looking at here is a retrial.
OK, well, let's turn to one other big story today. Andy Burnham is now leader of the Labour Party.
Yeah, so Andy Burnham had a cunning plan to become Prime Minister. Step 1 was to become an MP, which he managed to do in the Makerfield by-election. Step 2 was today, and that was to become the leader of the Labour Party. Now, that wasn't as hard a contest. He was the only candidate standing. Step 3 will be Monday when he takes the keys of number 10 when Sir Keir Starmer leaves. Now, he gave a speech today, just a speech, no questions from the press. High on rhetoric, low on detail, but pretty clear that he intends to make real changes, and he sees this as a pivotal moment for Labour and for UK politics. And he also said that he wants to be a leader for everyone, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland.
If we want an economy and a country that works for all people and places, which to me should always be at the very core of Labourism, then it requires a new path to the one we've been on for the last 40 years. The government I lead will confidently lay that path out starting next week. And that is why this change today is the most significant change moment in our politics for 40 years.
So a new Prime Minister on Monday, that inevitably means a cabinet reshuffle. What about the Secretary of State, Hilary Benn? Is he going to stay?
Well, we don't know, and nobody talks about this stuff before it happens. In fact, Andy Burnham said today that he hadn't made the decision about that. I find that pretty hard to believe. He said a bit later on that actually he hadn't finalised the decisions. When it comes to who becomes Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, we tend to find that that's well down the pecking order. Now, there are arguments for and against Hilary Benn staying on as Secretary of State. As I understand it, people close to him say that he does want to stay on. And it makes sense in the fact that Northern Ireland is not going to be high on the list of priorities for Andy Burnham, let's face it. Hilary Benn knows the brief. He's well across the whole issue about the budget, about the legacy legislation, which is in limbo, let's face it, in Westminster at the moment. So there is an argument for keeping him in place. Plus, he has all the relationships with all the people, including the Irish government. The other side of the coin is there's only so much patronage a Prime Minister can give out. You would wonder, would there be somebody else that maybe he'll decide they need a job in Cabinet more so than Hilary Benn? We won't find out probably until late on Monday. OK, lots for us to talk about Monday evening. Tracy, I'll see you then. Thanks very much indeed.
Police had suspected a mother and her 8-year-old daughter had been murdered in their home just a few days ago in Ballymena. Tonight, a senior officer confirmed just that.
Officers are still investigating the sudden death of the father and husband, who is believed to have taken his own life. UTV understands the mum and her daughter suffered very violent deaths. Here's our crime and security correspondent, Sharon O'Neill.
Still here and still with the power to shake you to the core. The heartbreaking reminders of normal family life, shattered by unimaginable violence.
How cruel to be taken away. It's like a numb sort of type feeling that it's happening in your town, in your doorstep. Going to a local school with all our children, and it's a poor wee girl.
Well, to be honest, as somebody who has young kids, you can't even imagine the situation.
The week began with the shock discovery of 3 bodies inside this detached house. Murdered, a mother and her 8-year-old daughter. Their suspected killer, the husband and father, who took his own life. The police cars that guarded the back of this house and the front are gone, and the cordons too, as residents try to get back to some sort of normality. But this street will be forever scarred by this brutal act of domestic violence. Under the shadow of this scene in suburbia, a reminder of the warning signs.
A town that has always had a heart for others, a town that knows how to show empathy and support for those in need.
As the Polish families who do not want their loved ones to be named prepare for their funerals, the community here has been pulling together. All corners of Northern Ireland impacted by domestic violence. Latest police figures revealing the number of women and girls murdered here since 2020 now stands at 35. A 39-year-old mother and 8-year-old girl now added to that grim list.
Horrible to hear every single time that something like that happens. It's terrible news, but I don't know what the answer is.
I suppose everybody's lives are different, and there's a lot of, I don't know, maybe mental health issues going on. There's things behind closed doors that people just don't know about.
I don't know, maybe just more help, that people can speak out about it, and I don't know. Just
it's difficult, as a difficult
scary.
one.
Even though police aren't looking for anyone else in connection with what happened here, their investigation into this double murder and suicide continues. Sources have told UTV mum and daughter suffered very violent deaths.
Do you think it will stop? No. Absolutely not. It won't stop, never. Never. It just isn't, it just won't. Do you think it'll stop?
Senior police tonight said the families caught up in this terrible tragedy had been left both shaken and heartbroken. What has happened has saddened the lives of so many, and that will be felt for many years to come. Sharon O'Neill, UTV Live, Ballymena.
UEFA, the governing body for European football, has started disciplinary proceedings against both Derry City and SCKA Sofia following disorder at their match last night at the Brandywell.
The game had to be stopped for nearly 15 minutes during the second half after visiting fans tried to charge the section where many of the home supporters were sitting. Rory O'Regan reports.
Cross comes on deep, keeper came for it, and it's headed into the back of the net.
A moment of jubilation as Derry City take the lead against CSKA Sofia at the Brandywell. Fans start to dream about getting through to the next round of Europa League qualifying. But just minutes later, the scenes turned ugly. Visiting fans tried to get into the home supporters section of the stadium.
Ugly scenes like this we are not used to in League of Ireland football.
Crowds of Derry fans, many of them children, fled onto the pitch for safety. The match had to be stopped for nearly 15 minutes until order was restored. Ride fans and police were deployed to help manage the situation. After the match finished, visiting fans had to be escorted from the stadium.
So that's where the CSKA following were seated last night.
SDLP councillor John Boyle was at the match.
It's very distressing to see women and children in particular, and dads out with their kids having to climb out of a football stand to get away from mindless hooligans. It's the only way I can describe them. I've been coming to the Brandywell since 1985, and I have never witnessed any scene like that inside this particular football stadium. Never. Not even remotely. It's the first time that I can recall that there was ever trouble inside the stadium. These people came here, and they came here to cause trouble.
UEFA has started disciplinary proceedings against both clubs. For Derry, their charges include invading the pitch, throwing objects, and insufficiently protecting the pitch. Meanwhile, CSKA's include alleged racist and/or discriminatory behaviour, acts of damage, and crowd disturbances. A decision is expected early next week.
Inside the 18-yard box, Stoll gets saying Brahimi. He thought about picking at his man. Oh, and he's touched it on a Barry Cotter.
The visitors ended up winning 2-1 with a late goal. Derry City now go into the qualifying rounds for the Conference League. They host Croatian side HNK Rijeka at the end of the month. Fans here hope that similar scenes to last night won't happen again. Rory O'Regan, UTV Live, Derry.
Now, have you ever considered a career in the aerospace industry? Well, employers have been on a recruitment tour, and we're today in Belfast telling us that the average salary in the sector is over £50,000 a year, a third above the UK average.
They say 10,000 vacancies go unfilled every year in the UK, and they're looking for all sorts of people to join a rapidly growing sector, which they say is more protected from artificial intelligence than a lot of other jobs, as I've been finding out. Northern Ireland has a rich heritage in the aerospace sector. It's undergone many transitions, most recently the split of Spirit Aerosystems into Boeing or Shorts and Airbus. But it's a rapidly expanding industry and it's on a recruitment drive.
The sectors that ADS represents employ around 9,000 people directly. So it's a significant sector here in NI.
We're scaling up the build rate of aircraft, and that's a demand and a challenge because we have to bring people into the industry to train them up and really meet this quite aggressively growing build rate of aircraft globally. And it's not just Northern Ireland, this is a global industry into which Northern Ireland supplies.
Well, it's not a sight you see every day in Belfast city centre. Let's take a look inside this Airbus A318 fuselage. So this is a cabin you'd see in an EasyJet plane, but it's not pilots or air stewards that this industry is after. They're looking all sorts of other people to fill a staggering 10,000 vacancies every year, with an average salary of almost £53,000, which is a third above the UK average.
we know that there are careers, opportunities across so many different parts of the sector, in software, in AI, in electronics, in, of course, all different kinds of services as well, HR, business and marketing.
Oisin Devlin is an example of an atypical employee who's recently joined Denroy.
I can't say that aerospace was something I definitely was interested in when I was going to study in university. I have a lot of friends who did aerospace engineering and have since now graduated and are working in aerospace jobs, so it's actually nice to sort of communicate and talk to them about different things that are happening within the industry. I definitely wouldn't have expected that back then.
Artificial intelligence is having a major impact on the workplace, but these employers insist AI can't build planes or the components for them.
I think where it'll be of benefit to the sector is in the engineering and design. You know, we use a lot of CAD machines and so on, and the guys are working away on those software packages, and I think they'll become super powerful in the years ahead. But look, it's not going to replace having to build things and manufacture things. Yes, there'll be some level of automation perhaps, you know, where there's a volume assembly type operation, but you know, this industry in particular, it's so quality control with a very high level of engineering that will always require expert labour and people to assemble and manufacture those components. So it's quite AI protected, we feel.
So, calling all job seekers, career switchers or graduates, the aerospace industry is looking for its next generation of talent. Belfast Magistrates Court has heard that the driver involved in a hit-and-run collision in Belfast during which a woman died and a man was seriously injured was in a mental health crisis. 24-year-old Raven Adams, who was originally from the Tipperary area, died after she and a man were struck by a car near York Street in the early hours of yesterday morning. 22-year-old Francis Donaldson of Cardigan Drive in Belfast appeared in court to face a number of charges, including causing death by dangerous driving. The case is next to be mentioned in 4 weeks' time.
The Oscar-winning actress Brenda Fricker has died at the age of 81 following a period of ill health. The Dublin-born star featured in the films Home Alone 2 and My Left Foot. She was also part of the original cast of the BBC medical drama Casualty and had credits in ITV's Upstairs, Downstairs and Coronation Street.
Time now to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
Yes, with the details, here's Lucrezia Millarini.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, Andy Burnham gives his first speech as leader of the Labour Party. He pledges to stop infighting and end political turbulence and bring back hope. The mother of Vikram Digwa, who murdered Henry Novak, is jailed for 3 years for removing the murder weapon from the scene of the crime. And the Bayeux is back. The nearly 1,000-year-old tapestry is unveiled at the British Museum. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Moving to sport now, and in golf, the second round of the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale is underway. Rory McIlroy carded a round of 67 to move within 7 shots of leader Lucas Herbert.
Shane Lowry is 5 shots off the lead as he sits on 3 under par for the tournament, both well in the hunt to secure a second claret jug. Daniel Duffy reports.
Rory McIlroy needed a fast start after a sluggish opening round. A birdie on the second hole was just what the doctor ordered. He secured back-to-back birdies on the 8th and 9th before a 4th birdie of the day on the 14th left him on 1 under par for the tournament and looks set to make the halfway cut.
Well, it's not far off. Oh yes, go on, Rory.
I felt like I had momentum coming off the end of the front 9 there with the 2 birdies on 8 and 9, and felt like I stalled a little bit on the back, but yeah, look, I think main objective today was to be here for the weekend, which I am. Felt like I left a couple out there, but you know, and then you look at the board and you see a couple of 62s and you're sort of feel like you could have done a bit better, but you know, get off to a decent start tomorrow. There's a couple, you know, a couple of guys up there. You know, this will be sort of their first experience of playing in the lead at a major championship on the weekend. So I think if I can get off to a decent start tomorrow, be 4 or 5 under for the tournament, you know, I'll be right in it.
Meanwhile, 2019 Open champion Shane Lowry carded a second round of 68 to sit on 3 under par, well in contention going in to the weekend.
I'm happy. I'm very in control of myself and in control of my game, and I feel like I'm in a nice place. You know, I feel like I've done a great job the last 2 days of playing my game, and yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Rugby next. Ireland face the toughest test in the sport as they take on New Zealand tomorrow. The game will be played at Eden Park, a venue where the All Blacks haven't lost since 1994. Andy Farrell's side have been boosted by the news that Ulster's Rob Baloucoune will return to the starting 15.
Oh, it's special. We need to play New Zealand and to play them at Eden Park. We know the history of the stadium, and it's probably the home of New Zealand rugby. Really is for the New Zealand team. So yeah, we're really excited about being here and having the opportunity to go and put our best foot forward and to go and put a performance out there that we're going to be really proud of.
And you can see that match on UTV tomorrow morning. Kick-off is just after 8 o'clock. Let's move to football now. And it was a disappointing night for local clubs in European action. Last night, Linfield drew 2-2 on the night, but suffered late heartache as they conceded an injury against their Estonian opponents to lose 3-2 on aggregate, while Glentoran were eliminated as they lost 4-1 on aggregate to RFS.
Now, a documentary about a highly successful youth football team from North Belfast, whose members included victims campaigner Raymond McCord and hunger striker Bobby Sands, hopes to serve as a cautionary tale and to show how communities worked and played together before the Troubles tore friendships apart.
Rialt na Mara, or Star of the Sea, has received an emotional response by those involved, as well as those who are unfamiliar with the story of the Belfast boys who favoured football above all else. Eden Wilson has this report.
Dear na Saskity, Fern Rialt na Mara on. Sort scale Eshkachtul o have sport and air and Peladori or Tabuan, Fern and kids go viacha.
A top-class football team of young boys from North Belfast. Rialt na Mara, or Star of the Sea, is where Bobby Sands played as a team before he joined the IRA.
I didn't know Bobby Sands on the striker. He left Rothcool, went to Windhoek 11, joined IRA. I think Bobby Sands a footballer. Bobby Sands was the same as the other 10 of us.
Raymond McCord was on the same team, a Protestant teenager who would go on to campaign for victims of the Troubles after the UVF killed his son in 1997. This documentary shows how they kicked the ball among other young Protestants and Catholics before the Troubles tore the team apart.
There was no religion in the team. Talked about no sectarianism, no politics. He's a Catholic player, he's a Protestant player. That was it. It just didn't happen. And the friendships that were built were fantastic. Never been broken.
Raymond believes those with political power here can learn from this film.
Show it and have all the MALAs sitting there and all their councillors sitting there. And maybe we'll have a proper storming, maybe we'll have proper councils without point scoring, because we didn't do that in football. We can learn from a 16-year-old team from 50 odd years ago. They set the standard in '69, and this is say, what Northern Ireland could have been and should have been. That's what that team was about. It's just a great place, great lads. A real cross community team. The Troubles ruined it.
It's a bit of a cautionary tale, in a way. The fact that the tragedies that befell that team really kind of illustrates the horror of the Troubles. I feel like it's just the right time for us to remind ourselves, like, how vital it is for kind of everybody to focus on maintaining peace in Northern Ireland. It should be everybody's priority.
Rialt na Mara, the football, the Troubles and the aftermath will be broadcast on TG Cahir in the autumn. A story of unlikely friendships and how sport can unite in times of division. Eden Wilson, UTV Live.
Now, Hidden NI returns this evening for a new series.
Yes, it does indeed. Rita goes above deck with the captain of the Strangford Ferry, and Barbara meets a County Antrim man in his 80s who's creating miniature masterpieces.
I've always been fascinated by ships in a bottle. I used to
make galleons when I was a child, but I could never figure out how to get it into the bottle. How do you do that?
You drink it first.
There you go.
You'll have to watch that to find out.
Catch it at 7:30. Now, it was another glorious day here.
Yes, but will temperatures start to drop over the weekend? Emma Jesson has the forecast.
Bringing the warm sunshine outside, inside. UTV weather. Sponsored by the Grant Arona R290 heat pump.
Hello there. Well, yesterday was the warmest day of July so far for our part of the world. 28.7 Celsius recorded, and some parts have met heatwave criteria for 5 consecutive days now. However, the heatwave is starting to break down in quite a messy fashion. So those temperatures beginning to decline, so not as hot as it has been of late, but still feeling warm. Sunny for most of us over the weekend. Sadly, no real rain in the forecast for the foreseeable and forecastable future. However, we are keeping an eye on some fronts out to the northwest on Sunday, which could come fairly close, but may just be more in the way of cloud at that point. A fresh northerly breeze as well, and this is because high pressure is in charge and it's going nowhere very fast for the next week or so, essentially. You can see that it's drawing in this brisk northerly breeze, however, and this will contribute to the change in feel along with lower dew points, so we've lost that humidity and everything is going to feel a bit fresher and a bit more comfortable. Overnight tonight, well, after some pleasant evening sunshine, we see a little bit of cloud dropping southwards, but mostly clear skies for many of us. The breeze is starting to get up, maybe some gusts of 35 miles an hour in exposed spots around the coast and over hills, and temperatures generally into these comfortable low double digits. In some spots out in the countryside, we could get into single figures as well. Into tomorrow morning, quite a bit of low cloud around in places, but also some good bright spells developing by the afternoon. Temperatures down on today's values, but still warm, around 19 or 20 Celsius, that's 68 Fahrenheit. And taking in the wider picture, more in the way of sunshine. Down to the south and southeast, temperatures in the mid-20s here. This is where the warmest spot will be. Everywhere continues with this noticeable northerly breeze. Like I say, we're quite close to some fronts from the northwest on Sunday. We'll keep an eye on that for you.
UTV weather. Sponsored by the Grant Arona R290 heat pump.
Making the most of summer. Perry sponsors UTV pollen count.
On then to the pollen report now. Weed and wildflower pollen, and that breeze will continue to disperse the pollen, staying dry and settled, so counts remaining moderate to high over the next few days. Bye-bye.
Don't forget UTV Live at 7. I'll be back with your late news at a slightly later time of 11:30. I know you'll be staying up.
Yes, I will. There's more online. Just search UTV News. From Paul, from me and all of us on the team, good evening and have a great weekend.
See you later.